Joined now by Dave Holmes and Adam King from 10 TV and by Timmy Hall, former Buckeye receiver DeVere Posey. You hear him now on 97.1 The Fan. DeVere, do you have concerns when it comes to the Ohio State running game? Can the Buckeyes win this game if they can't run the ball?
Honestly, my biggest concerns are with Miyan Williams, number 3. If that guy is healthy, this offense has a whole new identity. I always think back to that drive in the Notre Dame game earlier this year when we had to score. It was a drive where Miyan just let his whole personality out, dragging guys, taking it all the way in. He was about to throw up on the goal line. He waved TreVeyon off, and he dove in and got the touchdown. And I just believe, although the fan base and many people might think this offense goes off of C.J. Stroud, I believe when we've struggled this year, it's been without Miyan. So if Miyan can come out and run hard and play that Ohio State, Michigan, cloud of dust type of running game, I believe we got a big chance to win this game.
But you're saying they have to have a running game to win.
We have to have Miyan Williams running the ball.
Well, what if he's not available? Can they win with
what about
Dallin
Hayden? Yeah,
I love what he showed. I love what he showed last week. Obviously, there hasn't been a big enough portion, but you know, with a game like Michigan and ball security being on the line, a young freshman, obviously he's going to be put to test. And I want to see TreVeyon hit the hole a little bit harder this week. And obviously, he has one of the biggest.
If he goes, we don't know. We don't even know if he's going to go.
Dom, he has one of the best offensive lines in the country. These guys are grading out high. I think Adam mentioned they're grading out at the championship grade, and I see 90% grades all over PFF. And so for them to have a guy behind him that's not hitting the hole, it's kind of making him look bad.
Adam, I think we can agree the strength of this Ohio State football team is the air attack. C.J. Stroud and the stable of receivers, the best in the country. With that said, do you want to see the Buckeyes stretch the field against these guys if weather's, and I think the weather's going to be all right, you want to see them stretch it? Because I don't know that Michigan has played an offense as talented as Ohio State is or with the receivers Ohio State has.
I think that 100% Ohio State wins this game with their play-action passing. And I think it starts with Miyan and Trey and even Dallin. You've got to be able to run the ball. But the second you get Michigan to take one step towards the line of scrimmage, you've got this Ohio State game. It's won because this Ohio State receiver room is no doubt the best in the country. And the second you have those guys worrying about the run game, you talk to Veer, when the run game struggles, everything else struggles because, well, they're just dropping 8 guys in coverage and saying, you know what, figure it out because you're not going to throw 3 guys against 8 and win that battle. So, yes, it needs to be bombs away and it needs to be take shots downfield, which will come if they can run the football, if they can get 4 yards. We're not talking about they need 80-yard runs every 3 plays. They just got to get 4 yards of play, 4 yards of play. And next thing you know, they've got this game won.
All right, Timmy, we think Michigan's defense is pretty stout. With that said, have they played the caliber of offense of an Ohio State, with the weapons they have? And my question is, why can't Ohio State just go out there and light them up? We saw what Urban Meyer did to him in his last game, put 62, thought about putting 70 on them.
Yeah, I mean, that's – honestly, I go into this one with a lot of questions. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns because you mentioned the schedule breakdown for both teams, right, Dom? Michigan's non-conference was just a complete joke. I mean, that should never happen at this level of college football. I'm more for, and I love the MAC and everything. I even love the FCS, but I think you need to get to a point where it's FBS, maybe even Power 5 versus Power 5 in all 12 games, and that would be fun for everybody. But Michigan has not seen an offense like Ohio State. You could also make the case that Ohio State hasn't had to go up against a tough, hard-nosed defense
every day in practice. Every day in practice.
Every day in practice, but come on, that's selling the intensity of the game a little bit short.
Yes.
You cannot replicate that in a practice in the Woody, even if you put the
starters
the sticker,
one-on-one, yeah.
The tape, the colored tape on the helmets, which I think is an amazing thing to sort of set the mood that Ohio State does. I love how people on social media didn't understand what was going on with that.
They thought they were just rocking the
helmets
for fun.
For 20 years.
Yeah, there's a thing here, but it's the way that Michigan has played this past, obviously last year, and you know that there's going to be some carryover with their attitude going into this game. I respect how fast and hard they play. It's one thing to criticize Jim Harbaugh and his overall performance in big games, but he has seemed to gotten them on track despite turnover with their coaching staff where they're playing extremely hard all the time, despite my questions if J.J. McCarthy is that good of a throwing quarterback, whether that's, C.J. Stroud and Ohio State's offense, if we think they're going to light it up or not. It's going to be interesting on Saturday.
Dave, last thing. How much of this game is on C.J. Stroud's shoulders, and do you see him running on Saturday?
So this is interesting for Stroud's legacy because he's on the short list right now of best quarterbacks in Ohio State history. He's right there with Fields and Braxton and Troy Smith and J.T. Barrett on stats and longevity for sure. But he would be one of the, how long's it been? Let me ask this question. Since an Ohio State starting quarterback left school without beating Michigan.
No gold pants.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can all agree that C.J. Stroud is probably out after this year. I think that's fairly safe.
Yep.
So for him to leave 0-2 would be wild. He deserves better. He's better than that, so he needs to go out there and get the job done. Now, will he run? Yes. And if he runs well, he will run straight to New York City to grab himself the Heisman Trophy after this if they win this game in the Big Ten Championship. So a lot on the line for CJ. I do think that they've started to turn him loose a little bit more on keeping the ball on some option plays. And this is the game where you put your body on the line, no doubt.
All right, guys, great stuff. Be sure and keep it on 10 TV and 97.1.